I am sick and fucking tired of people acting like Lamine Yamal was some sort of ghost during the World Cup. I have seen countless times over and over and over again whenever any photo shows Lamine Yamal, whenever any time he's even mentioned in some form of post, every single time, without fail, I see one of two things. A, it's crazy that a 19-year-old has already won the World Cup, has already won the Euros, was one of the top scorers in the Liga, all this shit, right? Praising him, and in my opinion, rightfully so. Or an arguably majority B option, he was a ghost, he didn't do anything, he got carried, blah, 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 blah. So, in this video, I wanted to talk about how I really don't think Lamine Yamal no-showed in the World Cup. I really don't think he was a ghost, and I think he had much more of an impact than people give him credit for. And I also want to say that people who are saying that he had no impact on the World Cup, people are saying he didn't do anything on the World Cup, I think are really stat watchers. I think they don't actually pay attention to the games. I think they didn't really watch a lot of Spain, and I think they didn't really understand a great amount of what his impact truly was in the World Cup. Now, I do want to preface this by saying I am by no means saying he was the best player on Spain. I am by no means saying that he was even the best young player on Spain. I 100% agree that Kubarsi deserved the Young Player of the Tournament award over Lamine Yamal, and I'm glad they gave it to a defender because that very rarely happens. And I by no means am even saying that he had a phenomenal World Cup or even a great World Cup. But what I am saying is he absolutely made an impact, and he was actually very vital to Spain winning. So, with that being said, let's break down his tournament game by game. First of all, the most obvious elephant in the room, Cape Verde. Now, of course, Cape Verde, that game was a 0-0 draw, and that is a game that should never be a 0-0 draw with the Spain team. With that being mentioned, though, the starting 11 for the Spanish side, the back 8, so everybody, not including the 3 forwards up top, had above a 7.4 rating on FootMob, okay? And every single one of those players did their role. The front 3 starting that game was Gavi, Oyarzabal, and Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres, 6.6. Oyarzabal, 6.2. Gavi, 6.8. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, this was one of the only games. No, not one of. This is the only game that Spain did not win. What do you see about the Spanish game that is different from every other game in the World Cup? Lamine Yamal was not a starter, ladies and gentlemen. Lamine Yamal did not start this game. Am I saying that he necessarily would have been a 100% difference maker had he started the game? Yes, I really do truly believe so, because every single game that Lamine Yamal started was won after that. Did he score in all of them? No. Did he assist in all of them? No. But I think you have to understand the value in having somebody like Lamine Yamal to have that creativity on the right wing, to be able to have the guy who can at least create chances, can create space, and can help create a play. And I think it's a lot to be said that the only game he didn't start, the game he played 19 minutes of, was the only game they did not win. So, with that being said, he comes on in the 71st minute, and he puts up a 6.4. Now, that's understandably a bad performance from Lamine Yamal, but he's playing, what is that, 19 minutes? Like, when you play 19 minutes, you're not necessarily expected to do the most unbelievable shit, per se. Okay, he didn't score. Obviously, didn't have any assists. He had 0.04 on expected goals. He created one chance and it was off target. Okay, it was blocked. So it's understandable. But if you watched him play, he was making his passes, 84% chance accurate passes. And of course, I'm looking at his stats here. But I remember watching the game, and when he came on, he did have that sort of presence for Spain that I think truly did enhance Spain's attacking ability. And I think had he have started that game, who's to say? Obviously, I'm not going to play with, you know, any certainties here, but I truly do believe if Lamine Yamal started that game, more chances and situations would have been created purely because of having such a talented young star. I think that improves space. I think that may have created more passes and it would have led to more plays that could have eventually led to a goal, and I don't think it's just a coincidence that he didn't start that game and he didn't start the game and they drew. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. So the next game is obviously Spain versus Saudi Arabia. In this game, Lamine Yamal scored 10 minutes into the game before coming off at halftime. He played half of the game and had a goal. This was obviously, in my opinion, his best performance with an 8.4, okay? Lamine Yamal in this game in one half put up a goal. He put up a .35 on expected goals. He had a chance, 2 shots on target, 3 shots off target. And with his passes, he had 91% accuracy on 32 passes. He had an insane amount of dribbles if you watched the game. He had 5 touches in opponent's boxes, 52 touches in total. 52 touches in total. To compare that with somebody like Ronaldo, I know, easy scapegoat. Ronaldo in the lead up to this World Cup and early on in this World Cup was getting like 12 touches a game. And I understand, obviously, he's a winger. He's going to have to create these chances. But what I don't understand is how people were so supposedly disappointed in him for ghosting. He's doing exactly what a winger is supposed to do, guys. He was a perfect winger this whole tournament. Sure, he didn't score fucking 6 goals, right? Sure, he didn't score all these assists. He was coming off an injury, okay? He was coming off injury problems after a very long and successful season, by the way, in the league. We're not going to act like he didn't do anything. But on an international stage, he's playing, best of the best talent. And he didn't look uncomfortable out there, guys. It's not like he got on the fucking, not like he got in the games and he was just shitting his pants, right? He wasn't creating disdain towards his teammates. He wasn't being a nuisance. He wasn't creating some kind of bad environment on that wing. He wasn't playing poorly. He wasn't ghosting. He was making himself known. He was playing perfectly as a winger should. I don't understand this narrative that he played so bad. Let's go to the Uruguay game. Bad game on his standards. I'll give you that. 6.9 and a 1-0 win. And he played 75 minutes. But again, in this game, if you watched it, he was there on the wing. He was making his presence known. He was completing passes. He was completing dribbles. He had the most touches in the opponent's box for the entire team. He had the most dribbles completed by the entire team in only 76 minutes. He's doing what a winger's supposed to do. He wasn't the most accurate with his passes this game. I will say that. He was a little bit off with that. He was a little off this game in general. But even in an off game, he's still completing the most dribbles, He's making his presence known as a winger. Not everything has to be about how many goals or assists you have. Yes, obviously, I wish his output was more phenomenal in this tournament. I think everybody does because everybody likes to see the young phenom go off, right? But I think we've just been so spoiled in recent history by people like Mbappe and, of course, going back a bit further, Messi, seeing somebody at the age of 18, 19 do these things. You want to see, the best of the best next thing. But I still think he is that just because he had an off World Cup, which Spain won, by the way, and he started every single game apart from the first game because Barcelona said no, right? He started every single game apart from the one non-win this entire World Cup, and they won the World Cup. If he was a nuisance, if he was a ghost, if he didn't do anything all tournament, that would not have happened, guys. Ronaldo was a ghost. He showed up in the Uzbekistan game where they scored 2 goals. Sure, he scored a pen. That's what he does, right? That's what he's known for. Ronaldo was a ghost, and look what happened. They didn't pass to Ronaldo. Whatever the situation is, Ronaldo being in the team made Portugal exponentially worse, right? Lamine Yamal being in the Spanish team if he was ghosting, would have made the entire team worse. That didn't happen. I don't know what you people were watching when you were saying that Lamine Yamal's a ghost. What the fuck? What are you talking about? That didn't fucking happen against Austria. Okay? 3-0 win. He didn't score or assist on any of them, but he played 85 minutes. If he was being a problem, do they score 3? I don't know. Probably not. He got a 7.8 in this game. He played fine, guys. He's playing his role as a winger. He had the most touches again in opponent's box. Took the joint most shots. He got unlucky not to score some of them, He had the most dribbles again, 2 games in a row with the most touches, most dribbles, right? That's what a winger does. He creates space. He creates touches in a dangerous area. He creates discomfort with the defense. That's what a winger has done for years. That's the entire point of the position. That is what Lamine Yamal did all tournament. That's not ghosting. He didn't just get an A on the group project that he didn't fucking show up for. That's not what happened. You guys aren't watching these games. You're just looking at the stats. Oh, Lamine Yamal didn't score, and fucking scrolling. It blows my mind. These people, they come up with these opinions, but you're coming up with opinions about things that aren't true. You're just saying shit. Portugal versus Spain. Perfect example, okay? Portugal versus Spain. In this game, Lamine Yamal, 7.5 rating. Ronaldo had a 6.4. He ghosted. He didn't get subbed out a single minute of this game, Ronaldo. He had a 6.4, the same score that Lamine Yamal did when he played 19 minutes. I understand Spain is fantastic defensively. This is what ghosting looks like. A 6.4. Ronaldo, in the entire 90 minutes that he played, he took 3 shots. He took 3 shots. 2 of them were on target, both directly down the middle of the net at the keeper. And he made 12 passes. And in this entire game, he had 19 touches. In 90 minutes, he had 19 touches. Comparing that to Lamine Yamal in 90 minutes. Let's see. How many touches? 61 touches. What are you talking about? Yamal and Ronaldo took the same amount of shots. Lamine Yamal's shot went into the far right corner. It was saved because he genuinely got unlucky with his opportunities. Yamal could have easily, this tournament, had 5 or 6 goals. Easily. He was taking shots. He was creating space. He just wasn't finding the perfect moment to capitalize. But that doesn't mean he's ghosting. That means he's getting unlucky. It's so simple. Let's look at the last 3 games here. Belgium, France, and Argentina. Spain versus Belgium. Lamine Yamal wins man of the match. People say it's rigged. How the hell did he win man of the match? He didn't even score. He didn't get an assist. Okay? Well, first of all, one of the goals was subbed on by somebody who got subbed on, or some of the goals got scored by somebody who was subbed on in the 86th minute. Okay? So obviously Moreno's not going to create. He scored the game winner. Yes, he played, 6 minutes, right? He doesn't even have a rating on FootMob because of how little he played. That's just how that is, right? That's not Lamine Yamal's fault. And Ruiz, who scored the other goal, came out 55 minutes into the game. He didn't play a full 90. Lamine Yamal in a full 90, again, against a team like Belgium, in the undeserved fucking man of the match, had 12 touches in the opponent's box, took 6 shots, okay? He took 6 shots and 80 touches. He had 80 touches this game. He completed half of his dribbles, okay? He's 100% accuracy on his long balls. So on both the long balls he took, he got both of them, okay? And he was able to create so much for this team, okay? He had 2 shots. 2 of those shots were on target. And fair enough, that is bad. You want more than 2 shots on target. But again, he had 80 touches, 12 of them being in the opponent's box, and he took 6 shots. That is absolutely a man of the match performance. Yes, he didn't score. Whatever. The people who did score didn't play the full 90, and in his full 90, at no point was he a nuisance, and he could have easily scored. If you watch the game, he could have easily scored, 2, maybe even 3, if it wasn't for some fantastic blocks from the Belgian team, and from literally Courtois in net. That is the best keeper in the world. Again, like, please just watch these games before you make an opinion. France. He played France, okay? In this French game, he had a 7.3, played again a full 90 minutes. You really don't think that if Lamine Yamal was completely useless, you really don't think that France would have capitalized on no offensive production? Are you kidding me? He took a penalty, okay, and another great opportunity. Is it his fault he got kicked in the fucking calf as hard as possible? No, but he could have had a great run at net. He scored a goal. He scored a goal against actual France, the World Cup favorites. He scored a goal against them that was ruled off because he was offside by a fucking nipple hair. Okay? What is he's like? Yeah, okay. Do you want him to time his run better? Okay, sure. Yes, I will agree. Lamine Yamal does need to work on his run timing, okay? That is a fair criticism. He's 19 years of age, guys. He's not 30. We're not necessarily going into this tournament expecting him to be a hard-earned vet. This is his first World Cup. It's the same with Mbappe. And I understand Mbappe played much better in his World Cup. I'm not saying anything outlandish here, but Mbappe is A, a striker, so it's an easier position to score from, but B, a phenom, and he also won that World Cup, right? You don't start all of the games your team wins in a World Cup winning campaign if you are a ghost. He did not ghost. Stop saying he got an A on the group project he didn't do any work in. It's just untrue. And of course, the final, right? Against Argentina, 1-0 after stoppage time. This man, 3 minutes into the fucking game, I think, more or less, right? Before the game even really got started, Lamine Yamal broke into the box, created an amazing opportunity, took a shot that deflected off the defender and then deflected off of Martinez's toenail to save it. And we're acting like this kid isn't doing anything. He got another 7.8 in a final, playing a full 120 minutes, in which, if you watch the game, he played not only amazingly offensively, getting 87 touches, taking the most shots in the game, and completing the most dribbles in the game. And it's not like the shots didn't fucking do anything. One of them almost went in first time. The second one was that free kick, which was almost a worldie to win the World Cup. To win the World Cup. Emi Martinez played out of his mind in a final. He almost scored a brilliant World Cup to win the fucking thing. And they trusted him to take that World Cup in that moment. You know why? Because he was phenomenal all World Cup in what he was doing, right? He played phenomenally as a winger. He earned the opportunity to be put under that pressure. And under that pressure, he was inches away from scoring. That's not ghosting. That's playing very, very solid soccer. That's what that is, okay? So, all in all, not only was he amazing offensively, if you watched, he had great press. He wasn't waddling like somebody I know who's allowed to do it because he's 39 years of age, right? Messi waddling up and down the pitch. It's his play style, whatever. He's old. Lamine Yamal was walking when the ball was nowhere near him, but when the ball was nearby, he would press. He won a lot of challenges, and he would create opportunities once that ball was back at his feet. Lamine Yamal, moral of the story, was not a ghost. Lamine Yamal played fantastic this World Cup for what his role was. He played his role perfectly. He wasn't a nuisance. He wasn't a ghost. He showed up. He dribbled, he performed, he almost scored multiple goals and did score one. Yes, he didn't score in the knockout rounds. I don't care. He played fantastic in those knockout rounds for what he was supposed to do. And absolutely at no point should anybody be saying that this is just an A that he got with doing no work on the school project. That is not what this is. That is it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, and I'll see y'all next time.